Hello, everyone, and welcome to David Goodman's Reality and Truth Show. My name is Vanita Lambert, and I have the honor of hosting this show every single week. And normally I bring on guests to provide information and resources to our community because that was the purpose of setting up this platform to begin with. But I am a small business owner, and so I'm going to bring you some information from my business to help other small businesses and to help people protect themselves, their families, and their nest eggs. And so that's what I do for a living. And when I first started it, it was kind of like just a job, like everybody else. Money, you needed money to pay your bills. But then as I got really involved in it, I realized that I was making a big positive difference in a lot of folks' lives. And the way I do that is through 4 categories that will impact your life the most. And those categories are, your health care, long-term care, life insurance, and retirement income. And so I'm going to start off with the Medicare. I don't do anything under Medicare. You have to have Medicare, and Medicare. You don't have to be just 65 to get it. There's a whole different ways that you can get Medicare. You could be a beneficiary of someone. You could be on disability for 2 years or 24 months, and or you could turn 65. And the reason I want to talk to you about this category first is because most people don't know, for the average person or the average couple turning 65, and you go on to Medicare at 65, the amount that they say that you're going to pay, the average amount that you'll spend in healthcare cost is around $250,000 per couple. Now that includes premiums, co-pays, hospital bills, and outpatient care, everything else. So that's a lot of money, and most people don't think about that. And so you really need to plan for that. And that's really important. So that's why I wanted to talk to you about turning 65 and going on to Medicare. There's about 10,000 people in the state of Connecticut turning 65 almost every single month. And so what I recommend, if you're turning 65 within the next 3 months, whether it be, May, June, July, whatever, or if you just turned 65 in April, I recommend calling me, a professional licensed insurance agent, to sit down and discuss your Medicare options, rights, and entitlements. Why do I recommend that? Because so many people, I'll tell you the story. I'm working with a woman who retired almost a year ago, well, about 6 months ago, and she turned 65 before she retired, and I guess she went online and signed up for her Medicare Part A and B, and she was still working. So why am I telling you this? Because when she signed up for Medicare Part A, that covers your inpatient hospital, and then Medicare Part B covers your outpatient care, going to the doctors, medical tests, and things like that. She signed up for both of them. There's no cost for Medicare Part A, but Medicare Part B is about $200 a month in the state of Connecticut. So why am I telling you this? She was paying for the same service twice. She was being redundant. She didn't need to pay for the Medicare Part B because she still had it on her job while she was working. So she paid an additional $200 every single month for a service that she already had. Now, had she sat down with a professional Medicare agent like myself, I would have asked her all of these questions. Are you still working? Do you have a spouse? When do you plan to retire? And just all of the appropriate questions I would ask someone turning 65. And then based on her answers to me, I would have recommended that she do not sign up for Medicare Part B until after she retired. So it would have saved her about $1,200 if she paid $200 every single month that she was still working and she still had the service with her job. So she was paying for a supplement, I guess would be a general term for you, for Medicare Part B, and then she was also paying for it through her job. So it was a redundant service. And so that's one of the reasons why you need to sit down and talk to someone if you're turning 65, how to coordinate all of your entitlements and benefits and options with you and or a spouse, and how to make it work best for your family. And every situation is different. So when I sit down with someone, I have a confidential needs analysis and I ask them all of these questions. Are you seeing any specialists? You taking any medications? Are you still working? Are you on your husband's insurance? Is he on your insurance? Everything I need to know about them. And how much is it costing? Would it be better to drop the retiree insurance, which I can't remember ever recommending dropping your retiree insurance to go on to Medicare, because normally if you work for, say, I don't know, a company like, I don't know, a big company, Pratt & Whitney or something like that, your retiree benefits in most cases are better than what you're going to get from just a standalone Medicare Advantage plan. And Medicare Advantage plans, they tend to change almost every year. They're either, getting benefits or losing benefits or switching benefits or what have you. But when you retire from a company, then those benefits, in my opinion, for the most part of it, I'm going to say 90%, have been better to stick with that. So getting back to my point, it's if you're turning 65, you want to sit down and talk to a professional and get this information, because I will drive anywhere in Connecticut, sit at your kitchen table, and go over your Medicare rights, options, entitlements with you and or your husband for absolutely no cost. It doesn't cost you anything. It is a free service that I provide, period. So you've got nothing to lose except doing the wrong thing. Sometimes having the wrong insurance or paying for something or being redundant, so to speak, is just not helpful to your family. That's like throwing money out the window. So that's one situation. And then there was another situation. I was working with a person who had assets, okay? They had, a house, I guess a 401k or whatever, some other assets. But their gross monthly income fell under the Connecticut threshold to receive the Medicare Savings Program, which if you qualify for the Medicare Savings Program, okay, the state of Connecticut will pay your Part B premium, so that's saving you $200 a month. They'll pay all of your deductibles and all of your co-pays, and you'll get all of these additional benefits. All right. And then there's a second level. If you qualify for the second level, then the state of Connecticut will just pay your Part B premium, and you'll have to pay for your deductibles and your co-pays. But most people automatically assume that it's state assistance, welfare, or whatever you want to call it, and they would not qualify because they have assets. That is inaccurate. That is entirely not true. That Medicare Savings Program is based on your gross monthly income only. It is not based on assets. And that income is also non-recoverable. So what I mean by that, if the state of Connecticut pay your Part B and all of your, your deductibles and your co-pays and everything, and say you hit lotto, the state of Connecticut will not come after your lottery winnings and try to retrieve premiums that they paid for you. So it's non-recoverable. And so you have to sit down with me or a professional Medicare representative to get all of this information, to understand how you can put yourself in the best possible situation. And that's what I highly recommend. And then there's another plan called Medicaid. The most confusing part about it is that the Medicaid and the Medicare Savings Program, they both come on a gray card from the Department of Social Services, DSS. They look exactly the same. They have the same type of client ID number, and I think they all start with like 800-690 or something like that. And then the numbers in the middle, the ID numbers, is what defines what you're eligible for. So if someone's standing in line at the grocery store, they may have that gray card for food stamps. Some people get money off of those gray cards, and some people get Medicare off of those gray cards. And if you see someone with the same card, that doesn't mean that they're getting the same benefits that you're getting. And that's the confusing part, and that's why you need to sit down with a licensed representative to help you figure out what it is you need to do. Also, when it comes to incomes, and you're still working and you turn 65 and you apply for the Medicare Savings Program, your Social Security, your pension, rent incomes, child care, and everything else cost is calculated at 100% value. But if you're working, wages are only counted as 50%. So if you're making, $100 a week, the state of Connecticut, when it comes to the Medicare Savings Program and applying for it on that application, they only count that as $50. So your wages are only counted as 50%. So whenever things change, if you retire or if you work less hours or anything like that, you need to reevaluate exactly how much it is you're getting and what you can benefit from the state of Connecticut and what you're entitled to. So that's why I recommend. There's a lot of, like if you call some of these 800 numbers and try to get signed up on Medicare insurance, you could be missing out. So, they could sign you up for a plan, but I am here in Connecticut and I only offer Medicare services to Connecticut residents, because I believe that if a client needed me, we're all seniors, we might not understand something, some of us are, technically challenged or whatever. I want to be able to drive to your house, sit at your kitchen table, and explain this to you if you cannot understand it over the phone or, via Zoom. And, I'm trying to do a little less driving because of gas. I was making jokes. I was like, we're going to have to start running appointments on a bicycle if the prices of gas come up. But that's not an issue. I'm just joking. I would like to sit down, look you in the face, and explain this to you and make sure that you understand the Medicare Savings Program, or if you understand Medicaid, and you understand how it works and why it works that way, and show you all the limits. So right now, I don't have it in front of me, but if you're a single individual and you live in the state of Connecticut and you qualify for Medicare and you have to work 10 years or 40 quarters to pay into it to be entitled to it, and your gross monthly salary, and that includes everything: Social Security, wages or half your wages, pensions, child care, alimony, whatever you get, interest from annuities or whatever that's considered income, whatever you get, if that gross amount is under $2,807, or is it $6? Don't quote me on that. It's right around there. Just say $2,800, then you will qualify for the state of Connecticut to pay all your Part B premiums, all your co-pays, and all of your deductibles. But you will not know that unless you sit down with a professional. We have the applications. It's a very simple 4-page application. You don't have to go through all that 20-page husky application or whatever it is that I've seen. And I'm exaggerating. I don't know if it's 20 pages or not, but it's huge. So I do all of that for you. I I fill it all out, I send it in, I monitor it, I tell you when it's coming back, and then once you receive your award letter, it'll either say yay, you qualify, or nay, you don't, and it'll tell you why and or which level. And so that can save a family. If it's a husband and a wife, and you're paying your Part B premium and you qualify for the Medicare Savings Program, that's $404 a month going back into your house. How important is that to you? How important is it for you to just find out or just to get the information, okay? Another thing I want to talk about, when you retire, it is so important, or even before you retire, how important is life insurance to you and or your family, okay? That's a question you need to ask yourself, because most employers will have group life insurance, and it's really cheap and you get a lot of it. You know, you probably get like $100,000, so I don't know. I'm just picking a number off the top of my head. If you're in a group insurance, you could probably get up to $100,000 for, like, I don't know, 15, 20 bucks a week or a month or whatever. But group insurance is cheaper because it is a group and it is term insurance. And the term is while you're working at ABC company. And once you retire from ABC company, you have the option to convert that term into a whole life policy, but then there's underwriting. They have to check to see if you have diabetes or high blood pressure or cholesterol or, you know, whatever is in your medical records, and then the rate is going to be much higher. Whole life insurance costs more than term, so it's already going to be higher, but based on, you know, it's based on your age, based on your gender, and it's based on your health. If your health is poor, then it's going to cost you a whole lot more. So while you're working, if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, before, you know, you even think of retiring, you can put life insurance in place at a very reasonable price, and you're younger and you're healthier. You won't have to worry about getting rejected for any health issues, and have that in place so when you leave a company, you already have life insurance in place at a reasonable cost and getting all the benefits, which, I mean, if I got into index universal life insurance, the benefits are phenomenal. And actually, money doesn't pay for it, your health does. You have to be really healthy to get this, well, not really healthy, but, you know, healthy to get this type of insurance, because it bills cash value and it is 100% tax-free, and it has a wash loan provision, which means you could go and take money out anytime that you want. So, and I know that's a lot to get your head wrapped around, and I'm kind of hopping around a little bit, but I'm trying to hit the bullet points of things that you might lose when you retire. Universal life insurance, in a nutshell, if I could compare it to something, if I could give you an analogy, it's like a 401k, but you don't have to pay taxes on it. And so all of the premiums, all of the interest and everything that bills, you get compounded interest on it. It is 100% tax-free to you, the cash surrender value, and if you pass early, then your beneficiary will get the death benefit amount, which is non-probatable and non-taxable to your beneficiary. So, and why is that important? If you're living with someone, or if you have children, you want to leave a financial legacy to, or like I said, if you're living with someone and the two of you are paying the bills together, okay, and one person passes, the bills are not going to get cut in half. You're still going to have the same bills. So, you know, you may have to, if you own a house and you have the mortgage, and one person was paying the mortgage and one person was paying the utilities and all the other things, and then all of a sudden you lose one person, that the one person, the survivor, has to pay for everything. And how do you do that? You have life insurance in place so that on each other, so that if something happens to either one of you, then you could take the life insurance and pay off the mortgage and still live in the same house if you choose to. Or if you don't have life insurance, your choices could be limited. You have no choice but to downsize and move from a house to an apartment. And let's face it, apartments now, the rent that you'll have to pay for an apartment, I think is way higher than, owning your own house. But we're not going to get into real estate. I just want to draw a picture of people that are coming up to retirement, people that are turning 65, and some of the things that you may lose from your current job that you don't think about until you have already lost it or until you turn 65. Your insurance, for life insurance, it's a lot cheaper for a 55-year-old than it would be for a 65-year-old. It's a lot cheaper if you have no health issues than if you get diabetes and you're on metformin or you're on lisinopril or amlodipine for high blood pressure. It's a lot cheaper. And once you get your life insurance, whether it's whole life insurance or whether it's universal life insurance, there is one fee and it is locked in. It doesn't increase at all unless you want it to. You can, and we won't get into that because that's a whole nother picture, but you can add more money to generate more tax-free benefits. It's like taking money from your left pocket and put it into your right pocket. You're turning taxable income into tax-free income. So when you retire, you can withdraw the money tax-free. Unlike if you retire and you withdraw money from your 401k, you're going to have to pay taxes on the money you withdraw out of your 401k because that's pre-tax money. So I just want to give you information about retirement. And I do this for a living. I love it. I'm passionate about it. And then there's one more topic that I want to talk about, and that's legal. Having access to legal service. How important is that to you? If your child gets in trouble or if you get in trouble, it's imperative that you have someone to call where you can ask a legal question without having to spend, a $500, consultation fee, and then it's over. You also, if you have assets, you want to have things in place like a will. And a trust. I'm in the process of doing a trust right now, and I'm not sure if I want to do revocable or irrevocable. I'm reading all of the documentation because, I want to make sure that my house never leaves, my family, my bloodline, because it's the first piece of property that our family ever owned. So it's so important to me that it stays in the family. And a lot of our culture, Black and brown culture, do not have all of the education on, generational wealth. And that's one way to start generational wealth for your grandchildren. Imagine how much more successful you would be if you didn't have to pay a mortgage or if you didn't have to pay rent. So that's what a lot of generations are able to do. They're passing down generational wealth from one generation to the other, and that's why our counterparts are sometimes way ahead of us because your mortgage and your rent, that's your biggest expense. So if you're able to eliminate that, just think of some of the things that you could do. You can go to a better school, you can save more money, you can invest more and leave more for your grandchildren, and the money just continue to multiply. And, also having access to legal service is, if somebody gets a ticket or if somebody gets in trouble, you want to be able to get on the phone, call a lawyer, and get an answer and, get advice on what to do. You also want to have a will in place. And a lot of folks think a will stop probate. It does not. A trust will bypass probate. So that's what a trust fund is for. The wills do not stop probate, but the wills kind of give you a direction where, you want your assets to go. And along with the will, you also get a power of attorney letter. So I can also help you with things like that, because that's one of the questions on my confidential needs analysis. Do you have a will or trust in place? You get a will with this service, you get a power of attorney letter, and then you get a medical directive. How important is that? Someone that makes decisions about your health care when you are not able to do so. That is imperative. You have to have that in place. And it's just getting your affairs in order. So I would recommend, if you are turning 65, or even if you're not turning 65, if you're interested in having an account for life insurance where you're in control, not the IRS, you pay no taxes on it, and you're able to get this money when you're ready to get it. There are no restrictions on it. You don't have to wait till you're 59 and a half. And it's portable. You can take it wherever you want it to go, if you go from job to job, and pennies buy dollars. So give me a call at 203-687-2778, and I'll be happy to help you with any of that information. You have all my information there. We're out of time, but please, turning 65, give me a call anywhere in Connecticut. And I want to thank you for spending your time with me today. This is the David Goodman Reality and Truth Show, and we're on your side.